amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This amendment is the exact bill text that you and I had worked through for the June markup based on the text of H.R. 3407 and the manager's amendment that was drafted after the discussions with Republicans. We still incorporated that, though. I want to reiterate my disappointment that our bipartisan bill could not be called up in that earlier markup. And today, because we worked in good faith and you represented your members' interest energetically, I'd like to offer what we could have voted on in June and reported out on a bipartisan basis, and then perhaps had an opportunity to see something off the House floor and into law. So I won't parse every line of the substitute because I've covered this in my opening statement. I covered it in my statement in the hearing in June. But it's important to say this. Anyone reading the text of this amendment will instantly recognize it for what it is: a thoughtful, reform-minded bill that clearly reflects bipartisan give and take. In our original bill, everybody got something, but nobody got everything. And that's why it was realistic to believe that language could be enacted into law and stand the test of time. We have, after all, a Democrat-controlled House, but a Republican-controlled Senate and a Republican in the White House. So the give and take was necessary to see something into law. What Chairwoman Waters negotiated in the amendment text that I'm offering is not just a reauthorization of XM, but a focus on the exports of the future and an increase in accountability so members on both sides of the aisle can entrust the bank with America's long-term priorities economically. The Chairwoman's original bill would have helped diffuse many of the fights surrounding XM that emerged with each reauthorization. And that is why it is so short-sighted of certain Democrats to reject it. There will come a time when XM champions will regret having let such a good deal pass them by. Our bipartisan bill is a worthy product that would address Democrat and Republican priorities for years to come. For example, there's a long-term reauthorization and alternative not only is a long-term reauthorization, but we also have an alternative when there's a quorum lapse. There are strong lender of last resort measures and anti-fraud protections. There are provisions to target the technologies of the future and concrete restrictions on financing the Chinese Communist Party. In short, our bipartisan bill represents the most significant reauthorization bill in XM history. If we adopt this bill as an amendment, I'm confident we will not only secure a broad coalition in support of XM, but will lower the temperature surrounding the bank when future reauthorizations and board confirmations emerge. And in fact, I believe if we offer this amendment, we could pretty much wrap up the markup, and we could go to the House floor and have a large bipartisan vote. I would remind my colleagues that in a little more than a year, the quorum will once again lapse. Now, I know it's a Senate problem, but it affects the functioning of the bank. Let me reiterate what I said at the June markup. There are some Democrats who felt that the chair wrote our bill, ignoring their input. But as I recall, in our many hours of negotiation with Chairwoman Waters, Chairwoman Waters always named Democrats of her committee that she was working on provisions for. And it was repeated over and over and over again, members' names of this committee that she was working on behalf of. And Chairwoman Waters, I don't want to betray those confidences we have, but I think it's important that your members know that in this negotiation, it wasn't you and I sitting in the room. It was the members we were working on behalf of and their interests and their priorities and their districts and their jobs and their districts we were thinking of. So what we have to realize here is that the Democrat House majority doesn't have control of the Senate. And it's another thing entirely when Republicans are in charge, right? For XM. And the chair was thinking about the president's signature, not just making a point of passing something out of the House or through the House floor. So, having said this, I remain disappointed that the chair would not bring up our original bill. I'm offering this to be constructive and to show out our votes as well on what we negotiated. And so with that, I think I urge adoption of this substitute amendment and look forward to the debate. Yield back.